Hello friends, today we're going to replace the transmission drive cable on a Honda HRB series walk-behind lawnmower. And there's our part number for a genuine OEM Honda part, which I think is the only parts available for these. I don't think these come aftermarket. Either way, better to use the OEM part on these Hondas like this. These cables usually last about 7 years. That's been my experience. And they're a little difficult to change the first time you do it, but with my help, I know you can. Here we are upside down with the carburetor in the air. Always important to put it up on its side with the carburetor up in the air. We're going to remove the two 14-meter bolts that hold the blade in place. Like I said, the two blade bolts are 14, the rear wheel bolt is 14, and right down there underneath there's a 10mm, and we can get that just by bending up on the back plate a little bit. We don't need to actually take the back plate off. You can just bend it up a little bit, hit it like that, and it comes right out. That's 10mm. And then the one that comes up through here is a 10mm also. The final two bolts that hold the cover plate on are down here, up there and here, and those are both 12mm. And then the plastic plate itself is just set inside. There's a couple of channels at the edges of it slip down into. Very easy to pull out. The blade clutch cable and the transmission engagement cable both come straight down through the top of the deck, and they're right here. This one here is the blade clutch, and the one that curves around and goes back to the transmission right up in here, that's your blade engagement cable. And the other one comes in from the side over here that goes down between the motor and the deck. That one is your speed selection cable, and that one's further down here. That one's a little bit harder to get to. Next, we're going to take a 10mm open-end wrench, and we're going to release the locking nuts on the cable. This is our broken spring, and this is the cable here. So we can release, or we can loosen either one of the two jam nuts on there. Just a couple turns, and it pops right off. The last step is to remove that end of the cable where it attaches to the transmission. There's a little plate that sticks up, and the cable presses through that, and then the end hooks over an arm. Here's the end. Where's that here? Here's the end that hooks over the arm, and this is just a regular expanding plastic gripper. To get it out, you have to get behind it and squeeze these two tabs in a little bit, and then it'll pop right out. Alternatively, you could just cut on it, pull on it, and yank on it, squeeze it until it breaks and pops out. It doesn't really matter because it's all replaced when you put the new cable in. Once the cable is released from the bracket, reach your hand up underneath. You're going to be working blind, but let me show you what to feel for. That'll make it a lot easier for you. You look at that arm on the left here coming out. You need to hold the loop at the end of the cable with two fingers and use a third finger to move that arm to the right away from the back plate. Push the center wire part of the cable into the mounting bracket, and then verify that the end of the cable is looped properly over the arm as pictured. Here's a tip to make it easier. If you put a lever in here by this spring and arm, you can push it toward the back of the mower and tilt the whole transmission forward. That'll give you more room and easier access to get your hand back in there and reach the parts that you need to reach. I use the blade, turn it sideways, and just pull it back toward the end. That turns the whole transmission forward and gives you a lot more room in there. Next, we're going to attach the upper end of the cable to the control handle. The first thing to do is to attach the spring to the hole in the lower part of the handle, like so. And then take the bolt mechanism with the shaft and push it up into the U-shaped channel where it goes. Adjust the two lock nuts so that there's no play in the spring. You don't want any tension on it, but you want to take all the play out of it. Flip it back over and grab the end of your new cable and push it firmly until it seats into the bracket. Button up your parts, replace everything, and you're good to go. One job done, and self-propelled is working again. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and bye for now.